Hey guys, and welcome to today's podcast episode where we're going to talk about HYROX race week. Now, what an exciting week it is. The race is only a week away for most people. Sometimes the preparation can start about 2 weeks out as we go into this taper phase and as the nerves of actually getting ready to do your HYROX, whether it's your first time or going again. It is a very exciting and nerve-wracking time. And the question that a lot of people, start to ask is, what do I need to do coming up to the event? And for some of us, we've been training for 12 weeks, 6 months. This could have been a 12-month goal. And we've just been so used to training for HYROX. And now coming into the event, like we have to change our routine a little bit. We have to back off on training. And this can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people. So we're going to dive into the HYROX race week, what it should look like, what you should have done before race week so you can feel great coming into the event. We're going to talk about race day. We're going to talk about also bouncing out of the event because, it's a true thing. You can get that post-race depression. So we're going to talk about that, but also what is very common as well is a lot of people, they catch the bug, they want to dive straight back into another HYROX. So how do we handle that as well? Because a lot of people make some really crucial mistakes that actually slow them down from making that progress. So let's talk about it. Today's going to be an awesome episode. So again, if you're coming up to HYROX soon, right, this is really going to be great information for you to fully understand how to come into race week when it comes to HYROX. So let's go and get into it. So this is like, I'm going to hit you straight away in this episode. I'm going to hit you straight away with a hard truth. Now, if you are actually in race week now, if you are literally 1 week away, 2 weeks away, this might be, you might be in this position and it's going to be the reality. Or if you are further out, this is going to be really good information for you. But basically, when it comes into race week, right, we have to fully understand, right, that in race week, there is no magic approach to race week. In race week, you can't just like make that extra fitness, get in that extra bit of shape, get that bit leaner for your photos. It's all about now just allowing the body to rest and recover a little bit so it can catch up, so it doesn't have to be in such a stress state. And we want to try to get the body into a peak state, right? And that peak state is getting a little bit extra sleep. It's backing off intensity a little bit. And now the body is, because again, in training, a lot of the time we are under stress. We're overloading the body and it's constantly making adaptations. So now we're just trying to like reduce it a bit, allow the body to overcompensate, to over-adapt, and to put us into, again, the most peak state. So the hard truth here, right, is when we come into race week, we see a lot of people, they try and they're still training really hard. They're still trying to gain fitness. They're still trying to squeeze something out of the lemon that's already squeezed, right? So if you're in this position, if you feel like you're underdone, if you feel like you're not fully prepared for the event and you're 1 week out, look, the reality is there's not much you can do about it right now. This is why it is so crucial. It is so crucial that we do the work before race week. You need to make sure you are fit enough. You need to make sure you're strong enough. You need to make sure you are prepared. And this is why, and I preach it a lot. I preach it always on my channels, especially on social media, that it's like, HYROX, a lot of people sign up to it because they get FOMO. It's exciting. And they sign up 4 weeks out. They sign up 8 weeks out. And even when they do sign up, 2 months out, 8 weeks out from an event still feels so far away. But it's like absolutely go time at that point. You need to be training really hard. So if you are in that bracket where you haven't quite done the amount of training that you would have liked to, you feel, you miss some runs, you miss some sessions, you've been busy with work, you've had the holiday period. These are all normal things, right? And it's not that this is like you should be punished or think that you've done bad by doing this. Just know that this isn't ideal. It's not the way reality works when it comes to getting ready for a race. So if you have underprepared, you can't now just like make it all up in the last couple of weeks coming in HYROX. Doesn't matter how hard you train, doesn't matter how big your sessions are, your body can't adapt that quickly, right? So you have to come to a quick realization that, okay, this is where I'm at, right? And you know what? This is okay because I'm going to learn from this. If I've underdone it and I'm feeling that way, right? I'm going to learn, and next time I'm going to make sure I'm prepared, right? Now, if you're someone that, you know what, I have been training for 12 weeks and I have been prepared, might not have been perfect. I don't think anyone's, lead in is absolutely perfect. But now you just have to trust the work that you've done. A lot of people then fail to trust their process, to trust the work that they have already done, and they can start to panic a little bit. They can start to think, they start to, project what might happen, or, oh, I don't feel like I'm going to do as good. Well, they're just feelings, they're just emotions. If you've physically done the work, the only way that you can really see if it's going to deliver the result is you got to do the race, right? So right now, you also just have to be patient. You have to go, you know what, I've done the work, right, to the best of my ability, right, which is a great position to be in, right? And now coming into race week, I don't need to do a harder run. I don't need to run further. I need to just allow the body to rest, to recover, and to catch up with itself. And that is going to produce the best result. Because again, some people just feel like more is better and more is not better, right, at this point. So, ideally 12 weeks is a great time frame, but if you've been training for 6 months, if you've really done the work now, this is the real fun where you go, you know what, like, I don't need to be stressing and straining. I'm super confident because I've done so much work beforehand. Now coming into race week is really about just allowing the body to feel good, making sure you don't have any niggles, getting some extra recovery in, and just getting to the day, knowing that, all of the hard work has been done beforehand. And that's the real takeaway from this point, is anyone who like the HYROX itself, the result that you get, right, is all a result of the work that you've done beforehand, right? So the work that you've done, the work that you haven't done will all be reflected on race day. There is no coincidence, right? No one just flukes their way to the podium, right? It's all the work they do. There's a lot of people that are really fit and capable people, but those people who just haven't prepared, who haven't been disciplined properly, who haven't followed their plan, have, even just sort of like guessed their way, right? It shows up. We see those people. They're the ones that get a good result, not a great result, right? And, also, right, this is another thing. It's like, there's so many people that do HYROX, like 50% of the field on average are first timers who have never done HYROX before. So, and then, if we take all the other percentage of the other 50%, there's a huge percentage there that, like they are still relatively new to this space. And we see a lot of people, they, want to achieve so much, especially in their first HYROX. And when it comes into race week, right, you just got to be in line with your goals. So if it is your first time, even if you feel like you're going to get a really good result and you want to get a good result, you just have to go, you know what, like, this is my first time round and I've done X amount of work, and I'm just want to see what that result will give me. And then next time, right? Next time you can build upon that. So I think with a lot of people doing HYROX is they want their first time to be like a really impressive time. Like, as in, they want to just like achieve that podium result, or they just want to do something that makes them feel extra special for their first time. And, again, if you've done the work, that could be you if you come from a sporting background or have a lot of fitness in certain areas. But to go into the event expecting to get an above average result with not doing above average work is the mindset that I'm really trying to paint here. It doesn't work that way. It's your result is going to be totally determined by the effort you put in beforehand. That is it. It's like all of your efforts combined, the average of that is going to be your HYROX result. It is that simple, right? So that is one big understanding coming into race week, is just know that race week is just a result. It's just a result of all the hard work you have done beforehand. So again, I get a lot of questions. We get a lot of questions through the socials, on Hybrid Heroes, and in our community group. People want to know the best tip to do, or what's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference. And Like, there's a lot of little tips that matter on race day, but there is nothing that's going to just make that day click for you. It always comes down to your preparation, the work you've done prior. That is the only thing that will make your race day, what it is, And it's really interesting because I getting a lot of these questions, and even, putting this podcast together, I've been really thinking about myself. Like, what does my race day look like? What are the things that I do that really zone me in for race day? And it's so interesting because when it actually comes to the race, all the people I coach, the people I work really closely with, when it comes to the race, we barely talk HYROX. Like, it's like the racing. It's so funny, right? We barely talk about the race. We just have fun. We rock up to the event. We enjoy the location where we're at. We support our friends. My partner, Gabrielle, my HYROX partner, we did 3 mixed doubles last year. This is an example. So we trained together. We did all the work together. We strategized. We read the rules. We did all that in training. When it actually comes to the race day, like, we barely spoke to each other. Like, as in, we say, hey, how you going? Fist bump. Let's go warm up. Literally, we then just had like a quick convo before the race shoot. We're just like, cool, anything we need to go through? Yep, we go through, run through. Okay, cool. You're going to run in here. I'm going to do this second. Like, it's a really short conversation. And then we're just straight into the race. So this is an example, right? That we're not there on race weekend or race day trying to overanalyze what we need to do and figure it all out. We literally have done all that prior. So that's the biggest tip that I want to say for you. Your biggest tip should be that you should come to race day already pre-prepared for everything that you need to do. Your strategy, have your nutrition lined up. Everything should be tested and planned and tried before race day. And to the best of your ability. That's the thing, because every race you are just going to learn from and you're just going to get better. Just like what we have is we go, cool, this is what we know. This is how we prepared. Let's go do the race now. Let's do our best. After it, we're going to have some reflections. We're going to see what worked well, what didn't, what did we see other people do? And then we're going to incorporate that into our training and our preparation for next time, right? Again, if you want to get good at HYROX, right? If you want to continue to get better at this space, it is not about perfection. One of our slogans here is progress over perfection. That is just a principle of life. You just can't go trying to, be perfect in every area. And if you are someone who's done multiple HYROXes and you're listening to this, you're going to totally agree. It's like all that preparation, right? Come into the event, you don't need to think about it. You don't need to second guess it. You just need to go, this is what I know, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's not only how you have an amazing time and have a lot of fun with HYROX, but you're actually going to get great results because you are coming into it knowing what is causing that result. And also, like, an important note to that is that, like, race day, there are so many unknowns, right? Like, the track could have a ton of people on it at the time you're running, and you have to run around people. A judge might not be there literally at your wall ball station and you're trying to find a judge. There are so many unknowns that could happen. So just by being super present on, your surroundings, the event, what's happening, and that, it's like, that's why all that pre-preparation is so important. Because if you're trying to really think about, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and you're not confident in that, and you're trying to navigate your way through competition day, again, it's a massive information overload. You're going to feel flustered, and it's going to make your HYROX, again, a very stressful experience potentially. Okay, so again, you got to prepare. What's the saying? If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right? It's that concept. All right, so this is really important for race week. You got to do that preparation. Okay, now, part of that preparation, so you've done the work, you're coming into it, you got to taper. Now, what the hell is tapering? A lot of people, say that. Like, I don't actually know what tapering is. Now, what tapering is it's like we are slowly easing off, right? Some volume and some intensity. So we're going to taper it, right? Instead of making a sharp edge, we just taper it. So it's a real gradual curve downwards, right? So what this tapering allows is it allows you to go from your normal training volume, which could be like really high, and we're not just going to drop it suddenly. We're just going to slowly reduce it. And in that slow reduction is now the body is still anticipating and getting used to working really hard and being really stressed in training, But because you're reducing the volume, you're reducing some of the intensity, right? The body now is going, oh, that wasn't so hard. That wasn't so hard. And if you keep everything else consistent in your routine, then the body actually bounces back and recovers better instead of being like punished and stressed and broken down in normal training, which is great for training because that's how we adapt. Is we got to break down those fibers, we got to put the body under load and stress, and then it gives the body a reason to come back stronger, right? And in training, most of the time we're quite sore. Like you should get used to feeling sore, not like painfully sore, but a little bit of soreness in the legs or the upper body is a normal thing. But when it comes to race, we want to try to remove as much of that as we can and allow the body to be as peak condition, as healthy as possible. So this is what we mean by tapering. Now, for some people, this taper effect happens in like the last week, so the last 7 days before an event. So it's very short taper. For some people, right, they need to start 2 weeks out, right? Because if in 1 week, the body has just started to recover, but it's still, maybe a bit stressed under load. So when we're looking at tapering, it really does depend on the individual. That's one of the biggest things. So like we find with beginners that they need to do a lot of reduction in training, right? Because their training effect is quite hard on the body, and they need to taper, a good 1 to 2 weeks out to allow the body to feel, 100% come race day. If you're someone that's a more advanced athlete or someone who's been doing this for a long time, you have a high training age, as we call it, having 2 weeks off or slowing down and reducing, that's way too much time. The body loves consistency. The body loves to thrive and be under stress. And by removing a lot of that, the body is just going to be thrown out. So, like if we look at a lot of people I coach, so we have some, our beginner athletes who are doing like some doubles races for the first time. Like they will respond really well to 2 week out taper. All right. So we literally go from like 4 sessions a week, we go to 3 sessions a week, and we shorten those sessions. We still keep quality work in there, but we do that, and then like 3 days out from the event, they're pretty much going to do no training. They're going to do a light jog a day out just to get the body up and moving. That is like a typical taper for a beginner. Now, when we're looking at like myself and the people that we train with who are on the, we're chasing podiums, we're on that sort of top 10 in our sort of categories. Our taper is like, basically we stick to the exact same schedule, the exact same routine. So I got HYROX New Zealand this weekend. It is Wednesday here. As I do this podcast, and like we just did our zone 2 run on a Wednesday morning, as we always did. We trained yesterday twice. We trained twice on Monday. We did everything the same because removing that schedule is it's going to throw us out. Our muscles aren't going to be so in peak activation state. But then we fly off tomorrow, so we're not going to train Thursday. We normally would do a session on Thursday. We normally would do a big session on Friday. So we've removed those 2 days and we race on Saturday. So for us, just by removing 2 quite strenuous sessions that are normally there, just 2, 3 days out from our race, our bodies are going to really go like, where's all this training? Where's all this load? It's going to really recover a bit from it, but it's not long enough that the body's going to shut down and want to then go into rest, restful state. And then Saturday, so we've got a shakeout run. We're going to do like a 30-minute run on Friday. And then Saturday, we're on. So that is how short of a taper is for us. But also we have been training for very regimented for HYROX and done, this is like now my sixth, this will be my 6th race in sort of like a 15-month period. So we've been, again, very consistent. So again, someone like us who is just so consistent, so regimented, we can do that because our bodies, like, they're not breaking down, they're not super sore. So we need a short time frame. So again, you got to listen to your body. That's the biggest thing there. And at the end of the day, it's like you got to figure out what works. So that's why we've also learned over the 5 previous HYROXes, we had a long taper, too long. We had a too short a one. And now we're just figuring out what works for our body to get in best shape. All right. So you got to take into effect this tapering effect. All right. Nutrition. All right. A lot of people talk about nutrition. What do I need to do for race week? Now, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, right? I'm just someone who eats food every day and a lot of it, all right? So I've got a bit of experience there. But being a personal trainer, being a coach, nutrition is a huge part of how we get our body in shape, how we fuel. So this is definitely not new to me, but definitely don't take this as proper nutritionist advice. I've worked with a lot of nutritionists, I've worked with a lot of dietitians. So this is definitely very educated advice. But one thing that I found, again, being someone who's been doing it for a while, is the body loves consistency. Okay. Soon as the body goes through a change, a drastic change, right? Like everything in the body, like has a, cause and effect. If you don't normally eat, let's call it, a lot of carbohydrates, your diet's X amount, but you're like, oh, I got race week. I've heard about this carbo loading. So now every single night you're eating a massive bowl of pasta. There is going to be cause and effect. All right. That's going to be a lot of fiber. It's going to be a lot of carbohydrates. You will need to take a big dump at some point. But now all of a sudden your digestive system, how your body uses energy and is digesting it, it's going to change. It's all going to change. And this is really bad in race week. So is carbo loading bad? Absolutely not. But if you've never done it before and you introduce it in race week, be prepared for, different, differences to occur in the body. And if you're not prepared for this, it can cause a lot of havoc. So, imagine like, on race day, you're used to going to the toilet at X amount of time. Your body's like clockwork, and that's a really good sign. Now, all of a sudden, you've done all this carb loading. Now you're not going to the toilet, and then it's coming close to your race, and now you need to go to the toilet. But again, even worse, you might need to go to the toilet for a number 2 during the race, right? That's happened plenty of times. Happened to me in the past with lots of marathon preps and that kind of stuff. So right now, the advice here is keep it consistent. Don't change your nutrition too much. And if you're training for HYROX, right, you should have plenty of carbs in your diet anyway. You should be using that to help your fueling, to help your performance, to help your recovery. So that would be also a big mistake, that if you're not taking care of your nutrition, again, you're trying to fix it all in race week. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Now, some actual science for you. So they say, this was literature produced by Burke in 2017. So carbo loading 2 to 3 days out before the event can maximize your glycogen stores. So it's basically carbohydrates in the muscle, right? So aiming for 7 to 10 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight, right? Which can be quite a lot. So that is the effects of carbo loading. There is science, and it does help. One thing also with carbohydrates, if you do a huge increase of carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates, 1 gram of carbohydrates also holds on to 1 gram of water. So what we do see, and don't freak out if you do this, you do add some more carbs in, you are not only going to have some fuller glycogen stores, but you're also going to have more water in your muscle, which is great for hydration, great for glycogen stores, but you might go up a kilo or so of weight, right? So that's why I don't like personally to do this big carbo load. I like to have a consistent level of carbohydrates in my diet at all times, so I know my body weight. So my body weight is consistent. I'm not literally going up 1 or 2 kilos on race day, which put 1 or 2 extra kilos on your body on race day. That's going to be a huge weight difference, right? And that could affect the way you run, could affect the way you move. So these are other effects that, by adding a lot more carbs all of a sudden. The event, it is an endurance event. It's an hour 30 for most sort of people in that bracket. Do you need a massive carbo load? I don't think so. I think you need to look at some just being fueled on the day. So, an hour and a half out from the event, making sure you have a little pre-race snack, which could be some rice cakes, some bananas, something that's really easy to digest, going to get those carbs up in the body, those sugars up, but it's not going to have you crashing. That's really important for race day. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So also another big mistake, right? And this is real because I know the real problems, right, that a lot of people go through is a lot of people, right? They want to look good on race day. Like, don't think that I don't know that that's what you want to do, right? We know it's a true thing, right? So we want to look good, right? We want to have our top off for the guys. Girls, you got your crop on, you got your perfectly matching Alice KD colorful outfit, which is what we want. That's the fun of it, right? Getting in some bright, colorful activewear, looking good, matching your socks with your shoes, with your shorts, getting out there, looking shredded, looking ripped, right? Not feeling uncomfortable, right? Not feeling, bloated and all this kind of stuff. Just feeling good about yourself is what we want to do, right? So what a lot of people do as well, and this is a mistake, right? Because HYROX is about performing, you're going into an endurance event, is they cut calories and they cut carbohydrates, right? And they try to be in a deficit, right? Coming into a major race. Big problem, okay? Massive problem. Again, you might look a bit better, but you're going to perform like shit. You're going to look like shit, right, in your face, right? Maybe you got a bit more definition in your abs, but your face is going to look terrible, all right? So, that's why, again, consistency with your food over a long period of time is the only way to truly get in shape. Now, even myself here, I've been training really hard and I've been eating lots too. And eating lots does not always equal like shredded six-pack abs. And that's, true, like athletes always, like a sign of having super shredded abs is not always a sign of performance. But those people who perform really well and are super shredded, it's because they're super disciplined, right, in those areas. So again, like even for me, I know coming this race, of course I want to look lean, of course I want to look more shredded, and I want to look amazing when I'm doing my race. But also right now, I'm just like, okay, I just need to just make sure that I eat really consistent. I stick to my goals, and my body will just be in the best way it can be on the day. That is it. If I'm not looking lean enough, or if I'm not looking good enough, you know what, Damo? I got to go back to my nutrition plan, and I got to sort this thing out well before race day, and make sure that I can achieve my result over a period of time in sustainable ways. It just means that I have flaws in my program. All right. So that's the reality when it comes to wanting to look good. So again, if you're trying to make up because you're feeling emotional about it, right? Which is very real, by the way. I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but you can't then go, I don't feel good about myself 7 days out from my event. So now I'm going to punish myself and do something really drastic and cut all my calories, which is going to make me feel worse. It's actually it's too bad. Two wrongs definitely do not make a right in this situation, right? So you just got to go, you know what, trust the process, be consistent with my food this week, just control all my controllables, and what will be, and I will just get better from here. Okay. So some habits and mindset of race week. I've spoke about it already, right? But consistency, the body loves consistency. So coming into race week, what we need to do is we need to go the thinking and the stress of the race day, right? It's going to add more thinking power, more just computing power by the body, right? So this week, try just wind down a little bit more in the evening. So try focus on sleep, be consistent with sleep. Just try, do some breath work and breathing, visualizing the race, do things like that, things in a real positive way when you're coming into your race week. Don't try to overstimulate yourself with information overload. Again, this week, it's about just, again, allowing your body to get into a nice calm, right, and controlled state, right? So again, this is where you need to just lean into all of your habits, right? For me, when it comes to race week, I purposely try not to overcommit to my work schedule. I try not to overcommit to events. I try not to do anything. I just try to go, you know what? I need to get back to my simple and basic habits, right? That make me feel good, right? And I need to nail them this week. So that is a mindset. You've got to understand that some people, they don't understand the nerves and the excitement of the race, how much energy it's taking from them, okay? So that is something that we need to really look in this process as well. We're going to just reflect on our preparation, and we're not going to second guess ourselves. We're just going to go, you know what? This is what I've done. I'm confident in it, and I'm getting ready for the day. Now, part of some of the conversations you can have with yourself, but definitely I suggest with some friends, coaches, your HYROX partner, people doing HYROX, is now start to really, get your strategies together. All right. Now, I believe you should have multiple strategies for the day. I call it like my plan A and my plan A point two, right? Plan A, point three, right? They're all plan A's, but I'm going to come up with some different strategies for what I think could happen, right? And this is really important because you need to go, okay, well, this is what we're planning to do and try to stick to it as best you can, but then have a contingency. So an example of this would be if I'm doing a mixed race, it's like, okay, I plan to run in first and then you can finish the station. This happened to me and Gab as an example. That was like part of our strategy. But what I found on one of the stations, I believe it was the burpee station, where I was meant to start the burpees, I was completely wrecked and gassed because I was trying to keep up with Gab too much on the run. And we had that conversation as well, that if I'm walking behind, right, that you just start the station and then we're going to swap that strategy around right away, right? And it worked a treat, but we sort of had that conversation. So start to think of all the things that can happen, come up with multiple strategies, right? And then just go over them. And, again, don't have 20, just have two, two's plenty, right? Two good strategies. Start to think about your transitions, how you want to execute the race, right? And again, just really get clear on what you need to do for your race day. So basically now we've done the work beforehand. We've got ourselves in a good state for race week. We've got the strategies formed here, right? Now, the day comes, right? And it's just about executing the day. Know when your start time is, know when you're going to do your warm-ups, know, when your other friends are doing it as well, because chasing your friends around all day as well can be really tiring and taxing as well. So you just think about the day, be super present, enjoy it, right? And just know that HYROX is just the celebration of all the hard work. And that's why HYROX is freaking awesome, is because it's all these people who have worked super hard, right? Coming together in the one day and just, displaying their work, displaying all their hard work, having fun, right? And, it's a ton of fun and it's inspiring, and you leave HYROX wanting to be a better human because of it, because of the process and seeing people do it. And, there are so many people that think that they're not good enough and they don't deserve to be there. But then they see so many other humans that, and they doing it who, in their eyes, they would go, I'm not good enough. And then they see someone who, could be potentially, physically not in as good a shape, struggling with the event more. And what this actually does is it allows people to realize, like, actually, you know what? I'm actually quite good, right? There are so many different humans, but don't forget, and me saying this too, we all start somewhere, right? I remember I couldn't run more than a kilometer around my block as an overweight kid, right? So I started from being in that position where I'm like, this is super hard. So anyone who steps onto that HYROX arena, number one, you're already part of a very special group of people, like less than 1% of the population who can do these hard things. So that should be celebrated, congratulated, and acknowledged anyway. But what we do find with a lot of people is they think they're so bad, and then they go, wait a minute, I'm actually pretty badass. I'm actually pretty good. And now this is going to motivate me, because normally I'm so hard on myself and I don't do my runs and I don't stuff because I'm just don't think I'm good enough, or I'm not worth it, or what for. And then they go to a HYROX and then they just see, that really where they're at and in their life is actually quite good. So it can be very motivating. And also for the people who aren't quite there, who are on their journey, you can go, that's where I want to be. And that's the thing. You just see people, all types of people. You look to the elites, and that's the thing. It's too big of a gap. But the great thing with HYROX is there's always someone just in front of you, and there's always someone just behind you. So, you can really measure yourself and go, okay, I just want to be that fit. And then next time you go, I just want to be that fit. It's such a great thing. So this is what we need to focus about on the race. A little bit of a tangent there. I will come on back. So race day, be present, execute, have fun, and know that your journey does not stop at this HYROX. So what we're going to talk about now, right, is you do the race day, you have fun, you got through, you got your patch right, you're feeling great, right, you're feeling accomplished. But what happens is you've been training super hard for 12 weeks. You've been training super hard for 6 months, right? 12 months. You've dedicated your training, your time, your attention, thinking about this HYROX, this race day, and it is done. It's over. That is it. There is no more expectation. There is no more HYROX on your schedule planned, right? Obviously, you're going to get to that and you're probably going to put another one on there real soon. But what can happen is now the next HYROX, it's gone from this thing that was like it's a week away, it's days away, to now it's, I don't even know when it is, or it's 12 months away, it's 6 months away. What can happen about 2 to 3 days after HYROX is you can go into this post-race depression. And I've spoke about it on a previous podcast, and there's, research and literature around this. But what happens is you lose that sense of, purpose, that thing that you're chasing. Also, you're fatigued as hell because all that training and that pushing and that intensity that you've been going through for such a long time, and now the body has achieved what it set out to achieve. The immune system, the hormones, all of that just comes crashing down onto the body at once. It's very common for people to get sick after a race. It's very common for people to feel depressed after a race. And it's very common to feel like you just don't know what is next. You're unmotivated when it comes to training. You don't know what to train. Your schedule that had so much reasoning behind it now you have to reconfigure what that is. But more importantly, you just can't go back to the old routine because you've just gone into this like pre-race cycle. And now it's like, well, I need to come out of that. I need to get back to, and this is what I'm going to say here, is you need to get back to sustainability. The race itself, to a large degree, is not sustainable because the race day, it's a peak effort, right? It's a one-off. You're meant to exert an effort that you can't do every single day. Like going for a walk for 20 minutes, you can do every day. Doing a HYROX to the best of your ability, you cannot do every day. So we have to understand that after this peak, we have to now manage the body back down to normality, that, which is your sustained lifestyle. So that takes a bit of time. So you've got to really take the pressure off yourself and go, whether your HYROX is in 6 weeks, right? You have to understand that body needs some recovery, right? So I need to allow the body to recover from this. I don't need to go straight back into intense training. I need to get back to the basics. I need to get some good food in. I need to get some good sleep in. And I'm just going to do some easy sessions, right? I'm going to do some easy runs. I'm going to do some easy strength training. And I'm going to do it, to like half, maybe 50, maybe 60% of the volume that you were doing before. Get that body back to routine, back to feeling good, back to feeling you again. Get out of this sort of like little hole in this little rut that you can get into. If it's there, it's very real. And I don't think these aren't negative things. These are just things that happen, right? It's just our hormones. It's our attention. It's our emotions. So, just to have good emotions, we can have bad emotions too. And so they're both needed, right? You need them. It's part of, balance of life. Is life will always have a way to balance you. If you get super happy, right, and you're too emotionally intoxicated here, life will always find a way, right, to balance you back out. So never think that these feelings are bad, but you just got to sit with them a little bit and just not raise the alarm, right? Not think anything major is wrong. And you just need to now just start taking small little actions and steps towards getting back to routine. Once you're back there, now that might be 4 weeks, it might be 6 weeks, then we can start reflecting. We can start then building some new goals, right? You might have the goal straight out of HYROX. I want to do this one again. Awesome. Great to have that as a goal. But now how we get there, the strategy we get there, first thing we need to do is rest and recover. We need to get back to sustainability. And then our build process begins. We're going to build strength. Then we're going to go into our race ready program. And then we're going to go into our peak and see it's all strategy. It's all cause and effect. Now, a lot of this is, as a coach, this is all textbook stuff, right? Now, a lot of people don't know this and they try to shortcut their way and they try to go based off emotion, right? Which emotion is great. It's great for motivation. It's great for creating action. But, emotion doesn't always mean it's the correct thing to do. So that is why it's so important, to get guidance from a coach, from a HYROX group, from, Hybrid Heroes. We do these podcasts to educate people. So I'm going to start wrapping up this podcast. But, if you are someone that, hey, I do need more help in these areas, we got solutions for you. We have a free group, our Hybrid Heroes group. You can join for free. The link is below. We put all of these videos in there. We put resources. And more importantly, you can talk to myself. You can talk to our community. We have over 1,200 people from around the world. This is the point of, what we want to do to give and help people do HYROX. So do that first of all. Number 2, if you have the motivation, you have the drive, you have everything, but you just need the strategy. You need the know-how, but you just don't want a generalized approach. You want a laser focused approach that is going to deliver you a very specific result. So if you're 12 weeks out, if you're 6 months out and you want to know exactly what I need to do every single week, that's going to allow me to build and progress my way to HYROX. We also have our Hybrid Heroes training app where all our HYROX training programs are on there. whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, we have specific programs, right? Anyway, I don't need to oversell this, right? But this is for the person, right? This is how we help people. For the people who want to feel ready, who want to feel 100% confident coming into HYROX. They don't just want to guess their way there. A lot of people, and I get comments like this all the time, people go, I just want to trial and error the first time. That's great. I love trial and error. It's how I established my career over all my life. But what I did is I took educated information. I learned from those, who have been there before me, and I use that as my trial and error. So again, if you need help with that, like we offer a 7-day free trial. Link is below as well. Jump onto our program, reach out to me, you get me in there as well, and I work with you directly on that program. This could turn like the progress you could make in 6 months. We can do it in 3 months, or the progress you can make in 12 months. We're going to do it in 6 months, right? Again, we've been doing this long enough now, and I know we're definitely going to help you no matter where you are in your HYROX journey. So guys, thank you so much for listening in, right? This is HYROX Race Week Explained. I know you're going to get a ton of great insights out of this. The trick now is you've got to apply it. All right. If you don't apply it, then it's just information. And if information not used it's not going to do anything. All right, guys. See you on the next episode. Good luck with HYROX, everybody. And